be a part of such a beautiful evening with you. The Advent Tea is one of my favorite CCW events, and I'm so grateful we could bring it back this year. I have always looked forward to this part of it, and have been so moved and inspired by the women who have spoken. So I'm truly honored and humbled to be the voice asked to speak to you tonight. Thank you to Father Greg for presiding over the special Mass, and to Colleen O'Connell, our hardworking and fearless CCW president, to Marion Connors for organizing and coordinating this wonderful event as chairperson, and to her shadow, Mary Kate McGrath, who will be taking over the reins next year. Finally, to Barb Masters and the Women's Choir for providing such beautiful music for all of us to enjoy this evening. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Annie Eastman. My family and I have been active parishioners at Visitation for over 22 years. Our son Will is currently a 7th grader at Visitation School, and both our daughters Emily and Sylvia are graduates of this. The Visitation community has really been like a home to us over the years, and we feel very blessed to be a part of it. When considering what I wanted to speak about tonight, I reflected on the theme of hope, since Advent is the season of hope. According to the Oxford Dictionary, hope is a feeling of expectation and desire for a certain thing to happen. Many people equate hope with optimism, or a wish that things will turn out well. But for Christians, hope is not simply wishful thinking. Hope, I have learned, is actually a virtue, a gift we strive to receive from the Holy Spirit that is rooted in faith. Hope is what keeps us moving forward. I am a math geek, a problem solver by nature, and one of the things I love most about math is that the path to finding the answer, even for challenging problems, is usually the simplest one. Since March 2020, our world has been trying to solve a lot of problems. For many, having hope has been a daily struggle. I am one who has struggled, but I'm also driven to find solutions. So what does it take to have hope in a world that can be so broken and uncertain at times? Is there some magic formula we need to apply, or a mathematical model we can build to give us the answer? In my search, I have found that a life rooted in faith and love can not only lead us to hope, it can also inspire us to bring hope to others. I was sent into this world 47 years ago, but not on my own. I am a twin, which explains how on the day I was born, our family went from a family of 5 to a family of 7 in a matter of 4 minutes. My twin sister and I were a big surprise as my parents decided not to tell anyone they were expecting twins, not even our siblings. We eventually became a family of 8 when my younger brother Billy arrived 4 years later. Growing up in a loving home with 5 siblings, including a twin sister, was quite idyllic. Well, maybe not for my mom, but for me, I always had someone to play with. My parents provided us with a home filled with lots of love and raised us with a healthy balance of discipline and fun. They taught us about our Catholic faith and in their own way showed us that you can come to learn and grow in your faith from different angles. Whether prayer, charity, or vocation, they all point to the same center. We also learned that faith is a gift and that we are all called to make the world a better place through the use of our unique, God-given talents and abilities. I was in 8th grade when I realized I liked math. I had always been pretty good at it, but when I decided to give up my recess to take an Algebra 1 class taught by a really scary, strict teacher, and with only 4 other students, I figured I must really like it. My twin sister Sarah was in the regular math class and thought I was crazy. My love of math continued into high school and on to college, where I majored in it at the University of Michigan. When I declared my major, I was so excited that I actually called Sarah to tell her. Again, I heard, "You're crazy." She was studying to be an artist, but apparently I was the crazy one. Either way, we were twins using 2 very different sides of our brain. As my college career drew to a close, I had to find a job. And even though I felt drawn to teaching math, I was actually being pulled in another direction, the business world. After graduation, I moved to Chicago to work as an analyst for a market research firm. During my first week, I met Jeff Eastman, AKA the analytics guru in the office. I eventually learned that we both lived in the Lakeview, Lincoln Park area. Now, I was spending a lot of money on gas, commuting out to Schaumburg every day. Do any of you know that commute? Let me give you a visual. Lakeview, Lincoln Park, Schaumburg. Every day, back and forth. It was brutal. So I decided we should carpool. I thought it was a great idea and the perfect solution to my commuting expenses. Well, I was instantly shot down. Jeff said, no. I asked again and got the same reply, no. I said, wait, what? You seriously don't want to carpool with me? He said, yeah, I just don't think it's a good idea. What do you mean it's not a good idea? He said, because then you get in that whole commitment thing where I gotta wait for you and you have to wait for me. I thought, commitment thing? I don't wanna get married, I just wanna save some money. Well, the good Lord works in mysterious ways because despite his strong hesitation, he did eventually agree to carpool. And less than 3 years later, we were married. You know, a funny thing happens when you're forced to talk to someone while sitting on the Kennedy in traffic 4 hours every week without cell phones. You really get to know them. Aside from the occasional road rage and fighting over what radio station to play, we had a lot in common. We both grew up in small towns and in big Catholic families. We had similar interests and values. And while I had questioned and drifted a bit from my faith in college, I found that through our relationship, God was pulling me back. I no longer felt lost or untethered. And throughout our 22 years of marriage, I have discovered 2 very beautiful truths. 1, a love rooted in faith grows exponentially and continuously over time. 2, where faith and love abound, hope resides. One of my favorite mathematical concepts is compound interest. Albert Einstein has called it the 8th wonder of the world. Simply put, if you deposit your money into an account with compounding interest, over time, that money will grow on its own, and you will end up with exponentially more than your initial investment. The concept can even be applied to faith. St. Mother Teresa of Calcutta once said, "The fruit of silence is prayer. The fruit of prayer is faith. The fruit of faith is love. The fruit of love is service. The fruit of service is peace." Again, small investment, big payout in the end. Throughout life, I have experienced the fruits of compound interest beyond just financial accounts. After 4 years in the business world, I was restless. I wanted more. I decided to pursue a career in education. So I left my job and went back to school. Even though they weren't taking on any student teachers at the time, I somehow convinced the math department chair at York High School to give me a chance. Or perhaps it was all part of the plan. After completing my student teaching in the spring of 2001, I was offered a job and had 2 wonderful years of working at York. It was busy and challenging, but it was incredibly rewarding. I knew it was the work I was sent here to do. However, I put it all on hold when our daughter Emily was born in 2003. Then a couple of years later, our Sylvia arrived. And last but not least, our son Will, 4 years after that. If I thought teaching was rewarding, motherhood was infinitely more. It changes you. It forces you to sacrifice a big part of your life for someone else. At the same time, it rewards you with an immense love that grows over time, and it gives you hope. Hope for all the love and joy that little life will bring to this world. When the girls were toddlers and I was knee-deep in motherhood, I got a call from York. The district was looking for teachers to tutor homebound students who had illnesses or were going through treatments that caused them to miss a great deal of school. Some just couldn't keep up with their math classes. They asked if I was interested. I felt that familiar pull again and knew that God was calling. I said yes. For the next 2 years, I traveled to the homes of a few students each week to teach them what they were missing in class. It was extremely humbling. I would walk in to see kids sick and exhausted on the couch, get up and sit at the table with me for an hour to do math. For most kids, the last thing you want to do when you're sick is math. But they did it. They inspired me. Looking back on it now, I realize that God used my knowledge of math, my availability, and my desire to help to send them his love and hope. My willingness to say yes launched me into my next career of tutoring math. That initial investment grew exponentially beyond what I could have ever dreamed. After 14 years, I have worked with close to 100 students across several different schools, and the number of students I tutor continues to grow each year. But sometimes, when we least expect it, life hits us with an unsolvable equation, and we find ourselves searching for hope in a seemingly hopeless situation. On August 14th, 2017, my younger brother Billy left work over the lunch hour to go home and help his wife with their kids. She was still on maternity leave. Their children were 7, 4, and 8 weeks old. While feeding the baby, he suddenly felt a wave of nausea and went to the bathroom, where he had a seizure. 3 days later, he was in surgery to remove a rapidly growing brain tumor. My brother was diagnosed with glioblastoma, the most deadly form of brain cancer in adults. He was 38 years old. Over the next 13 months, Billy endured 2 more surgeries, weeks of radiation and chemo, and countless MRIs and doctor's visits. When he began radiation, my family and I decided we would pray the Divine Mercy Chaplet every day during his treatment. What do you do when you feel like there's nothing you can do? You pray. And we prayed a lot. And of those prayers, many were answered. My brother and his family were never alone for those 13 months. Family and friends from all over the country took turns visiting and helping out with the kids, making meals and driving Billy to his appointments. God's love was all around them. The day before he went into hospice, he had just completed a very difficult clinical trial. With the help of his wife, Kathy, he answered a series of survey questions that went like this. Do you feel depressed? His response, never. Do you feel helpless? His response, never. Do you feel sad? Never. Are you in pain? Never. A few weeks later, on September 25th, 2018, I went to the hospice facility to see my brother for the last time. I was the last one of our family to say my goodbyes. I was able to sit down and pray the Divine Mercy Chaplet over him. This was yet another prayer answered, as I wanted to do everything I could to help my brother get to heaven. Then I gave him one last hug and kiss before I left for the airport. Due to stormy weather, my flight was delayed, but at 3:20 p.m., I boarded the plane in Baltimore and flew home to Chicago. When we landed at O'Hare, I got the text. Billy had passed. He died in the hour of mercy at 3:20 p.m. When my husband and son picked me up at the airport, it was still raining as we drove home in silence. But as we neared Elmhurst, the clouds started to break. By the time we got to the Prairie Path on York Road, the sun was coming out and the rain was letting up. We told Will, better look for rainbows, and immediately we saw a giant, beautiful double rainbow stretching from the Prairie Path all the way south to our neighborhood. We pulled over and got out to look at it. I'd never seen such a vivid rainbow before. It was breathtaking. As I stood there with tears in my eyes, my husband turned to me and simply said, "The big guy is home." I knew deep down in my soul he was, and I was filled with hope that I would one day see him again. So, here's your lesson for the night. True hope is not simply a wish for things to turn out well. You don't obtain it by solving an equation or plugging in some complicated formula. It is a gift that keeps us moving forward. It is found in a pull in the right direction. It is found in the drive to keep showing up and never giving up. It is found in the joy that comes from making another person's life better. And it is found in an answered prayer and all the rainbows that color the sky after a storm. Because of one woman's yes, hope came into our world. And through her son's passion and resurrection, it will live on forever. What a gift. Pope Francis says Advent is a journey toward the horizon of hope. I hope this Advent season you can look upon that horizon from whatever angle points you toward a deeper faith and have hope. Because even in the darkest hours, God is always there. And he is always the simplest solution, no matter what equation in life you're trying to solve. Thank you.